What is going on? Welcome to the Second the Strength podcast. Wherever you're at, I'm grateful you're here today. I'm grateful you're listening. I'm grateful you're spending your valuable seconds with me. As someone who just believes that the second is the most important moment of your day because of your life, really, because in any given second, you can literally change your mindset. You can change your perspective. You can change everything. But today is a fun episode. We're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite movies of all time, Toy Story. And really, the 3 lessons I learned from the movie Toy Story, which Toy Story, I don't know how many there are. There's like four movies right now. The first one will always be the best to me. The second one, not so great. The third one, solid rebound. The fourth one, really good. But the first one is the one we're talking about today. And the first one is, I don't know, there was just something about that movie. And if you grew up, when I grew up, very nostalgic. And if you have kids today, it's still a great movie. But there's 3 things I learned from the movie Toy Story that I want to cover today. And a lot of it stems from the last part of the movie. So if you remember the movie, it's all about these toys. You've got Woody, you've got Buzz. And at the end of the movie, Andy, who is their person, they're moving. They are packing up, moving the truck. They've got a truck that is full of all the stuff in the house, including the toys, boxes filled with toys, and then they've got the minivan as they drive away. So, but right at the end of the movie, Woody and Buzz are trying to get back to the truck. They are trying to get back to the toys so they don't get left behind on this move. And because they'd been out on this adventure, Woody had been trying to save Buzz after all the things that had gone on. But if you remember right at the end of the movie, so they are trying to get back to the truck and doing everything in their power to do so. So as the truck starts to drive away, they are running, they miss it. Well, what happens is Woody, he jumps on the back of the truck somehow and he opens up the truck and he is frantically looking for a toy. He's digging through all the toys and so he finally finds what he's looking for. He grabs RC, the remote control car, and he throws the remote control car out of the back of the truck. And all the other toys are freaking out in this moment. They are going crazy because Woody has done it again. He has thrown another toy out of something, which earlier in the movie, if you throw back a little bit, they all blamed Woody for throwing Buzz out of the window, which sets off this whole chain of events, right? So there they are. Woody throws RC out of the moving truck, and the other toys are freaking out, and so they all grab him and they spin him around in circles, if you remember, and they throw him out of the truck too. Woody doesn't care. He's on a mission. He knows what he's doing. He goes and grabs RC and he jumps on and he starts driving. He drives back, goes under a car, and he grabs Buzz. They jump on the truck. And if you remember this scene, this setting, right? Buzz was in the process of getting blown up by the bad kid Sid, and so he has this rocket strapped to his back. So anyway, here's this scene where they are on this little remote control car, Woody, Buzz, this rocket, and they are driving back. They are zooming under cars. They are going as fast as they can, trying to get back to the truck. And they almost make it. So the toys realize what's going on. They grab the little binoculars and they look through the binoculars and see that Woody isn't throwing toys out of the truck again. He's actually trying to save the toys, trying to save Buzz. So they lower the lift gate and they are almost onto the back of the truck. And then, like, all things happen. And if you grew up in the 90s, remote control car batteries just don't last. And so true to form, the remote control car starts running out of batteries. Slink the dog jumps out, tries to save him. Woody grabs on and Slink gets all stretched out and then lets go. And so it just doesn't work out. And so there they are, dead to rights. Buzz, Woody, RC, the remote control car, sitting dead in the middle of the road as the truck drives away. And then they remember the rocket. And so and they have one match. Well, what happens is he strikes the match and tries to light the rocket. Car drives past and it puts out the match. But Woody remembered the power of the sun and the magnifying glass. So he grabs Buzz's helmet and he reaches over and he starts using the power of the sun to light the wick on this rocket. It works and they are screaming back to the truck. They are picking up so much speed at this point that they start lifting off the ground and taking air. And so as they are doing it, Woody lets go of RC. He goes smashing into the back of the truck, smashes into Mr. Potato Head. All his eyes and his ears and everything go flying all over the place. And then Buzz and Woody keep climbing with the rocket. And then about mid-flight, they realize that rockets explode. And so Woody opens his wings, cuts the tape off the rocket. The rocket flies up and explodes, and they start falling back to Earth. And then as they're falling, Woody says the most famous line maybe ever in the history of movies, and he goes, "Buzz, you're flying." And Buzz says, "This isn't flying, this is falling with style." Again, a throwback to earlier in the movie. So they start flying or floating back to Earth. And this is the first lesson that I learned from Toy Story that I hope you remember, and I hope that just kind of sits with you. So as they're flying back, I guess, they get to the truck and they pass it. And Woody says, "Buzz, you missed the truck." And what he says just sat with me, and it sat with me forever. And it's something I think about fairly often, actually, the movie Toy Story. But Buzz says, "We're not aiming for the truck." As they continue to sail on and they land, go through the sunroof and land right next to Andy. And I think sometimes in life, we have a truck mentality. We forget that we have a bigger goal in mind, right? And the goal wasn't to get back to the truck. The goal was always to get back to Andy. But sometimes we have this truck mentality versus an Andy mentality. What is the small thinking that we're doing in our lives? What are the limiting beliefs that we are placing? What are the short-sighted goals that we are placing that aren't conducive to our long-term growth, that aren't conducive to where we really want to be? What are those things in your life right now that you would categorize as truck mentality versus what your real goal is getting back to Andy? What are those things that you're limiting yourself in your life? And it's the first lesson I learned because I think that I too often in my life I've done that. Too often in my life I have limited who I can become because I just didn't set my goal high enough, or because I limited my potential. I just didn't give myself the benefit of the doubt. And when I did that, I lost sight of Andy. I lost sight of what really mattered. And so that's the first thing I hope that you take away from the movie Toy Story. The second thing is, it doesn't matter what people think. And so going back just a couple minutes, when Woody got into the back of the truck and he was rummaging through all the toys trying to find RC, and he throws RC out of the back of the truck, and the rest of the toys are freaking out, and they form this immediate opinion based on what they're seeing in the moment. They formed an opinion of Woody and what he was doing and didn't give him any grace, any benefit of the doubt. They just formed an opinion. And unfortunately, there are people in your life who are going to form an opinion about you that isn't true. But they're going to form an opinion based on what they see, based on their perception, based on their view of the world, based on what they know. And it doesn't matter what they think. If you have a goal in mind, if you have an objective, if you have a mission, if you have something you are trying to accomplish in your life, and it is important to you, and in this moment, saving Buzz and getting back to the truck was extremely important, the most important. And the other people didn't see it, and they didn't realize it. And they didn't give him any credit for anything. They just judged him based on his past. They judged him based on what they knew and what had happened before. They judged him in the past. And so we have to recognize that sometimes people are going to do that. Sometimes people are not going to give you credit where credit is probably deserved. Sometimes people aren't going to see your true nature. Sometimes people aren't going to believe in you the way that you believe in yourself. Sometimes people are going to form an opinion of you, and we have to stop listening to the opinions of other people and start doing what we know is right, despite the noise, despite the frustration or the darts or whatever people are saying. We have to continue to push through because we know it's what we need to do to get to what our ultimate goal is. And Woody didn't stop. He didn't listen to him. He didn't care. He got thrown out of the back of the truck. He didn't even miss a beat. He just got back up, got on RC, and went and saved Buzz because he knew what was most important in that moment. He knew what mattered most. And too often we let other people stand in between us and what matters most with a big ol' opinion. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb that we do that. So that's the second thing I learned from Toy Story. And then the third thing, very similar to the front, but the first is, the truck mentality versus Andy mentality. The third is don't lose sight of what's important. So as they are careening back to Earth, they're flying through the air, falling with style. Woody lost sight of what was important in that moment. And he realized he was trying to get back to the truck, and the truck ultimately would have led back to Andy, if everything would have turned out right. But sometimes we just lose sight of what's important. We lose sight of what matters most. And if you go back, like the whole movie is about this relationship that they have with their person, with Andy. Like that is the only thing for a toy that matters. And I don't know what, the things that matter. Relationships do matter in your life, but I don't know what those things are, those things that matter most in your life. And it may be a relationship. It may be, some big, audacious, scary goal that you have. Who knows what it is, but whatever it is, Woody throughout this movie has been so focused on this relationship with Andy, enough that, a threatening toy and Buzz comes in, or enough that whatever, he's the leader and he's the most important toy, and he always has been. And that relationship with Andy has always been the most important thing in his world. And then as they are falling back to Earth after letting go of the rocket, he loses sight of Andy. He loses sight and he starts focusing on the shorter term, things that didn't matter as much, things that the truck that just wasn't as important as getting back to Andy. And we can't in our lives lose sight of what matters most. And there are so many obstacles. There are so many shiny objects. There are so many different things that are going to come into your life on a daily basis and distract you from the things that are most important. And in that moment, Woody did get distracted because he saw a shorter goal, an easier goal, a goal that was accomplishable in that moment. I mean, these guys had to continue flying past the truck to Andy's window, right? But they did it. And Buzz was the one who in the moment said, "Hey, no, we got to get back to the truck. We got to get back. We got to continue back. This is what's most important." And so they did it. So wherever you're at right now, take a moment and don't lose sight of the things that are really important. Don't lose sight of what your ultimate goal is, despite some of the objections, some of the short-term shiny objects, despite the things that are standing in between you and there, because it is easier to climb halfway up a mountain than go all the way up the mountain. And if you go halfway up a mountain, you still climbed. You still did what you started out to do. You just didn't get all the way there. And we're not in the business of life of getting part way to our dreams and part way to our goals and part way to the things that we want to accomplish in our life. We are not in the business of only going halfway to the person we want to become. That's not what we're here for. Our goal is to get all the way there. And to get all the way there, we've got to lift our gaze and stop looking so short-sighted and start looking at the ultimate goal and what is most important. And if we can do that, and if we can do all three of these things, these simple lessons from a kid's movie from whenever it was, way back in the 1900s. If we can remember these simple lessons, it will go a long way to helping you frame your life and shape your life and position yourself in a way that is going to help you get to where you want to go. And I promise when you do it, when you do these little things, it's going to help you. It's going to help you. So I'm grateful for Woody and Buzz and the gang for teaching me these things. But simple recap, the movie Toy Story, greatest movie of all time, possibly. There's really great lessons we can learn there. Number one, set your sights high enough, right? Don't have a truck mentality. Let's take the Andy mentality. We are trying to get back to Andy, not the short-sighted nature of the truck. Number two, it just doesn't matter what people think. They're going to judge you. They're going to form opinions of you based on what they've seen in the past or based on their personal experiences. But don't let those people persuade you to stop or keep you from becoming the person you can become. And number three, we got to keep sight of what's most important, because when we have a big dream, a big goal, there's going to be lots of shiny objects that come in into the middle and try and stop us and keep us from our potential. But we're not in the business of going halfway. We're going all the way. You're going all the way because you're good enough. You deserve it. You're worth it. And I hope this helps you. So wherever you are, if this episode helps, share it. It does help me if you share these episodes. It also helps me a lot if you go leave a rating and a review, whether that's on iTunes, whether that's on Spotify, wherever that is, because the more reviews and ratings we get, the more this will be sent out to more people. But wherever you are, I'm grateful for you, and I'll leave you the way I always leave you. Go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.